program on a Wednesday afternoon. Hi, everybody. Yours truly, Christopher Russo, as we kick off our third hour here for you today. A lot of phone calls. I'll give you a little potpourri as we get it going. Number one, the Cavaliers are playing much, much better. I watched some of them last night. They have some fire. LeBron's completely into it. They have some firepower off that bench. They shoot the ball a lot better. Clarkson's got ability. I haven't really seen him too much, of course, with the Lakers in the last couple of years. Nance is a good athlete. We all know that. Hood can shoot. We know that. LeBron's feisty. I mean, yeah, that Altman made and let's also give the owner credit. Everybody kills Gilbert, and sometimes rightfully so. But they have done they did a tremendous job here in Cleveland. They have won 4 in a row. They won 2 road games at Boston. They won a road game here in Oklahoma City. They have won 3 in a row since the trade. They have won their last 2 since the players arrived. They are now 12 games over 500. They have a it's not a difficult schedule. They play the Knicks twice, the Nets twice, Phoenix twice, Dallas, Memphis. They only got 20-something games to go as it is, 26, and that's 8 right there. Play the Lakers, the Clippers. I mean, all right, they have Toronto a couple of times. You keep an eye on it. The Wizards a couple of times. You keep an eye on it. They do have a couple of West Coast trips, but it's not a scenario where it's not outlandish to think that Cleveland, they're not going to be the 1 seed, most likely. I mean, I think, Toronto's got 18 losses and Cleveland has 22. And the Celtics have 20. Is that what it is in the NBA Eastern Conference, if you wanted to look that carefully? 16 for Toronto, 18 for Boston, 22 for the Cavs. So, they're 6 back of the Toronto. They're not going to be the 1 seed. They're not going to catch the Celtics for the 2 seed. So that means they're going to have to play Boston or Toronto in the second round, which is not normally what they do. I mean, they usually play these teams a little later on. Now, last year they played Toronto in the second round, but, they were the 2 seed. This year they're going to be the 3 seed without home court. But I'm telling you right now, if you don't think the Cavaliers are dangerous, at least in that conference, you're crazy. I mean, they have, George Hill can do a little something for them. They still, J.R. Smith's played well recently. Green's okay. Nance last night had 13 points and 9 rebounds in 24 minutes. Hood last night had 14 points in 21 minutes. Clarkson last night had 14 points in 21 minutes. I mean, they got a lot of guys right now off that bench with little firepower and no Kevin Love. So, right now I like what I see with Cleveland. I've watched the last couple games. I didn't see the Celtic game, but I did see a lot of the game last night. I saw a little of the Hawk game last on Friday, and I like what I see as far as the Cavaliers are concerned, and I think they're into it right now, and I think LeBron's into it. I think that's the biggest thing. The one thing about LeBron, sometimes you get mad at him because he decides to sit out. Last year he only played 72 games. So sometimes you get mad at him from that perspective. But when LeBron does play, the juices take over. He plays. I mean, he understands the role of the best player, that no matter where he goes, if he plays. Now, again, in other years, he's taken a couple of passes, which we've killed him for. But when he decides to when he's playing that night and puts the uniform on, he gives you everything he's got. I mean, last night LeBron had 37 points, 8 assists, and 8 rebounds. Now, it's against Oklahoma City, a team that obviously, beat Cleveland by a bunch a couple weeks ago in Cleveland, so a little payback. But LeBron's had a hell of a year. I mean, that's just all there is to it. He's had a hell of a year. And Cleveland right now is a team that I would keep an eye on as far as making a big run. They are still by far the favorite in the East. I don't trust Toronto. Toronto, to me, is still way too oriented with their 3 guard. I mean, they got to lose something out of Van Fleet, the old kid from Iowa, but DeRozan and Lowry, they're still way too perimeter oriented. LeBron would take one of those guys away. Lowry, I never trust. Toronto's not going to the NBA final. I know this, and I'm not sure about the Celtics. They really haven't played well for a while now. I mean, Irving's been out. Hayward, all the players, they played so well for a long time, and they're still 40-18. Don't get me wrong, but they haven't played as well as we've seen. I haven't seen Boston in a while. Buried the other day. We'll have to wait and see. A lot of bad feedback for Kerr. I don't buy it. I have no issues by what he did the other night. I think that really more was an indictment of the NBA, telling you that, in fact, the season is so long and we're so good because of the accumulation of the best players who wanted to play together. together, and we're bored stiff. And Kerr just had enough of it and was trying to light up a fire with his team. And, he played him against Phoenix, and they won by 50 points and, won the game going away. A lot of people think that Kerr, basically embarrassed the coaches because they kind of told everybody that if you got the players, who the hell needs the coaches? So I'm not sure if I buy that per se so much. And again, Kerr has earned it right. He's a good guy. He's had a tough life. Remember, his father was assassinated when he was 19 years of age. And he's had a terrible back. I'm willing to give Kerr a break. I don't have a major problem with what he did as far as last week is concerned, or yesterday was concerned with the in the game against Phoenix. So that's the NBA picture. I gave you the NHL picture. I'm not ready yet for college basketball on a day-in, day-out basis. I mean, I know who the good teams are. I know Virginia's good. Can they score? I know Villanova's good with Jay Wright. A lot of veteran players with some injuries. I certainly know Purdue can shoot threes, and they got a big kid. I know Michigan State's got great talent. We all know Duke's got a bunch of great freshmen. I mean, I don't need to, I don't know that much about Texas Tech. I'll be the first to admit it. There's about 3 or 4 teams in that top 25 that I'm clueless on. I know I'm not that high. I don't know that much about Clemson. They're ranked high. There's about 3 or 4 teams that I like. At Cincinnati, I know how Cincinnati plays. I don't know if I've seen rugged, physical, not necessarily a great offensive team, but will bruise you to death, play good defense. I don't know a lot. Clemson's 9-3 in the ACC. Now, I've seen Clemson for 5 seconds. I don't have a feel of them. I did see some of the Purdue-Michigan State game the other day, but I know who the 7 or 8 teams are out there. I don't know the teams that are, are out of nowhere. And Texas Tech is the perfect example. I mean, I couldn't pick out the Texas Tech. I don't know Auburn that well. There's another one. Those are 2 teams are perfect. And Auburn plays tonight against Kentucky. I will not watch that game. It was at 9 o'clock, Kentucky and Auburn. I think that game is on tonight. I will not watch that game, but I'll put on a Breaking Bad. I can't get into it yet. But I know who the good teams are, so we'll see as we get a little closer to the NCAA tournament. I'll let Steve Torrey break down college basketball until the absolute cows come home. So that's the second thing I wanted to get to today. The basketball just did the NHL. I'm not sure what to tell you about baseball today. It's the first couple days of spring training. Pitchers and catchers, Boone did his thing. Everybody compared him in New York today to Joe Torre. Don't forget, he came to New York as in a trade from the Reds when the Yankees had some issues at third base. This was before A-Rod in 2003, and Joe made him feel right at ease. And a lot of people made that comparison who covered that press conference yesterday down in Tampa, his inaugural press conference, basically in uniform, and made that comparison to Torre. We'll have to wait and see. Again, Boone is the sort of guy, he can create the perfect climate all he wants, but a lot of these young managers, they create the great climate and the team responds. A lot of young players that love playing for him. But then in October, if Boone, who's never managed a playoff game in his life, and the Yankees are in a do-or-die game, what's he going to do in the 5th inning? Call Brian Cashman and find out what he should do with his bullpen? I mean, that's the thing that would concern me a little bit about a guy like him, even to a certain degree, Alex Cora, the manager of the Red Sox, who are going to be in the playoffs, those 2 teams. We saw Roberts do a couple things last year in the postseason that was spotty, Rich Hill coming out of games and things like that, utilizing that bullpen way too quickly in Game 2 of the World Series. The formula that came back to bite them a bit. The inexperienced manager who does what the front office wants him to do, and then they get into a big game where the season is on the line and championships and legacies are determined, and they don't quite know what to do. They don't get a feel of the game. So I would wonder a little bit about Boone. He can tell me all about the games that he wants to as far as ESPN is concerned, Sunday night, everything else. Until you're in the fire and you got to make these quick decisions of when to take a pitcher out, when not to take a pitcher out, and that's the biggest decision he has to make in a postseason. He doesn't have to make the pinch. They don't pinch hit in the American League. The front office will have a lot of input on what the staff would be in a postseason series. But once the game starts, he's got to manage the game. And that's when a guy like Boone is going to make his money. I mean, that's when it really comes down to whether he can do a good job or not. Because the Yankees are about winning a championship, not, having a nice environment with no tension in the middle of July that nobody gives a crap about. It's about the Yankees winning in October. The Yankees, there's about 7 or 8 teams that have to win in October. The Yankees are one. The Red Sox are another. The Dodgers are Washington's a 4th. There's about, the Cubs would have to be put in that category off their championship. I don't put Houston in that category. They just won a title. I mean, I'm not going to kill the Astros if somehow they got picked off in October. You can't do that. That's not fair. But there's 5 or 6 teams that need to win in October. The Yankees are one of them, and we'll see how Boone can handle that. So, and then, Verlander got a little annoyed because of folks going out there saying that think the Yankees are the team to beat. I'm the one who said it, or one of the guys who said it, and I kind of did it more than anything else to, put a little pressure on the Yankees, because I love to see the Yankees implode. So part of my design was to tie the noose around the Yankees' necks. Because of what they did and everything else. And that was part of my, put the pressure on them on a little TV show. And I guess Verlander took exception. We'll live. Not a big deal. Verlander, maybe he's using that to motivate his own team, try to get off the hangover. Verlander can do what he wants. He's a Hall of Famer. He obviously, was the main reason why they won that series against the Yankees last year. So if Verlander wants to, use something that somebody says to get him fired up, more power to him. So that we put him in the mix from that standpoint. I cannot. I tried to watch Shaun White last night. We've been on this Shaun White. I didn't try. I watched. It wasn't a try scenario. I wasn't bored stiff. I did watch about 40 minutes of it late with the runs. I've had fun today with the athletic aspect of Shaun White. I got to see him do other sports. Everybody tells me that, on those boards, he's a wonderful athlete. He's this, he's that. He can go out there and shoot 80 in golf if he wanted to. He, serve and volley to death in tennis. He hit a baseball 9 miles. He'd be the best 3-on-3 player in the history of basketball. He should go play in that Notre Dame tournament, that 3-on-3 tournament. I got to see it myself. Then we had to call up Mike in San Diego telling me about Kelly Slater, and I went, who, what? So there you go. I guess I'm just not a board guy when it comes to the boards. But I will say this, and I understand why you do it, because of the compelling aspect, and you want to challenge these guys to be crazy. But I don't like an event. We saw it last night. I don't like an event where you get 3 jumps in the final, and you can fall on your ass twice. Get lucky, hit it once, and you win a gold medal. I mean, that's failing 66% of the time. Now, I understand if in skating, if you do your program and you fall, you're not winning. You're doing your program in skating. You're not winning. So I don't know how in the world you can go out there and fall twice, but you have one great jump and you win. I have trouble with that, and that is what kind of happened last night. The kid from Japan, he fell in his last run, and he still won a silver medal. Now, how do you fall? He fell on his rear end. He tried to do something fancy, and down he went. Down goes Frazier. I mean, but somehow he won a silver medal. I don't understand that logic. I really don't. Now, I understand there's a degree of difficulty that should be part of the action, but there should be some strategy. Sometimes that degree of difficulty has to be handled here a little differently. Now, I did not see this. Was that Stormy Daniels on with Jimmy Kimmel last night? Yeah. Or a few weeks ago. Oh, it was a few weeks ago. I apologize. I know Eddie Erickson was riveted. I didn't see it.
No, I wasn't riveted, but she's all over the papers today because they say Trump the lawyer broke the confidentiality agreement. So
really?
They did now, so now she's free to talk about it.
And she's talking constantly?
I don't know yet. I'm sure there's a price.
Geez. There you go, poor Trump. He's never going to survive that. The Barracudas are out there to begin with, and his wife's about to just gave birth, and he's going around in Lake Tahoe. And what are you going to do? Anyway. We'll move on to something more pleasant on a busy ad. There was I won't even mention it. There was a shooting today in a high school down in Parkland, Florida, which is southwest of Boca. I don't want to say what the fatalities are. I don't think anybody quite knows yet. There is a lot of injuries. Seems like I've read numerous. I've read a few. Somewhere between 2 and 30. How's that? I mean. And Parkland was voted the safest city in Florida last year. This is an ex-Parkland High School student who somehow brought a gun into school and started shooting away. And we've been down this path 1,000 times. They got him. He's alive. They got him. So maybe we get more details. We'll see, in fact, what occurs here down the road. Terrible day for southeast Florida. All right, lots to still do. Your calls are next. We continue on a busy program here at Mad Dog.